What's up, strongest men, women, and children from blocks all around the world? I am my block's strongest man, coming to you again with my esteemed co-host, Isaac from Hunger Smash Fitness. What's up, Isaac?
Not much. Finally in the same time zone as you. So
Isaac, you don't look at all like you're sitting on the floor. Let me tell you, if I didn't mention it right now, nobody watching would know it, but now they do.
I know. Yeah, we still don't have any of our stuff from the move yet. So I'm sitting on the floor in it's not an empty bedroom. We have an air mattress. But
Nice.
hopefully everything will get here soon.
Yeah, I just outed you. I'm very helpful that way.
Yeah, right. I don't mind.
So, I mean, I got on today, but you know me, like, I don't think people ever hear enough of me. So I had to get on and do another live stream now to talk about, well, I did predictions earlier, pretty detailed predictions, but there's all this talk about did some folks at World's Strongest Man get easier groups than other folks, and particularly the top seeds. So I thought we'd jump on and talk about that a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, no matter how you do it, there's always going to be, like they like to refer to it as the group of death. There's always going to be that group that's just a little bit more stacked than the other groups. It depends on what the events are and which athletes are showing up, which group that's going to be. But yeah. Well, let's go over the groups and we can discuss it.
All right, let's have a look. So we'll bring that up there. So first of all, let me show you how I came across these numbers. These are my predictions, what I shared earlier. For people that were watching, you saw this, but there's some kind of like numbers surrounding the tables, and those are the interesting ones we're going to talk about today. But how I came across those, and I described this on my last live stream, is I did, how I always do, points earned out of points possible as part of my algorithm. So I took, in the last 3 years, more or less, where do people rank against each other in points earned out of points possible? And that's this column E, right? So Martine's lead season, that time period in, basically I took the last 2021, 2022. So I would imagine, I don't know, but I would imagine when World's Strongest Man's putting together groups, they would like to pick their top seeds by saying, how did they do recently? And since we're partway through a year, I would think, how did they do year to date plus the last year, right? So that's kind of what I did here. And Martine's lead season is 86% of points earned out of points possible, which is freaking unbelievable.
Insane.
Yeah. So that gets him this number one ranking here. Alexei Novikov is 75.76 points earned out of points possible, which gets him this number two rating here. Then you have this column. So that column that's your points earned. Then you take their placings in their shows, and I do placing bonuses. This one's cumulative. So this is an average. This is cumulative. So the more times you hit a podium, you get some points for that. You hit a podium again, you get more points. Second place is more points than third place, and so forth. And you get points for all the placings, but the podium finishes are weighted in my algorithm a lot more heavily. And so if you take his placing bonuses and add it to his points earned out of points possible, you get this overall, which ranks him 11th. So, and that's because he hasn't done lots of shows, right? He's done a few shows, right? And so someone like Alexei, if you do enough shows like he did and you do enough podiums as he did, you get a lot of bonus points, right? And so then his overall is actually better, and he's number one overall if you count it that way. So I gave you an option to count it two ways to see where guys would rank. So this is your points earned out of points possible rank, and this is your overall counting the placing bonuses rank. Okay? So then what I did was I took those and carried them over to the groups. And so if you look at group one, for example, which is Tom Stoltman's group, the reigning World's Strongest Man champion, where a lot of people are saying he got a bit of an easy road here in this group. And I said the same thing instinctually I did. And I said, now let me go do some math and see if it proves to be true. So if you look at points earned out of points possible, these are the rankings from the list I just showed you of each of the guys in the group, right? Now, the average of those rankings is 15.17. Since their rankings, lower numbers better, right? Lower number means it's a harder group. If you look at it the other way, their placings in addition to their points earned out of points possible, it's coincidentally the same, 15.17.
Is this the only group where those two numbers match?
I think so. So I'll show you, before I talk about these other numbers, I'll show you These are two ways you could possibly compare them against each other. So you now look at group 2, which has Brian Shaw in it. And again, for me, instinctually, Brian got a raw deal compared to Tom. I think his group is much harder comparatively. If you look at the math, measuring it this way, it is in fact harder. Again, lower is harder. But if you look at it this way, it's not harder. So accumulation of accomplishments, group 1 is the harder group. As far as the ability to do well in a given event, which is what you need really when you're doing a prediction event by event, Brian's group is harder.
And more experience too. You have more guys who have done more worlds in group 2 versus group 1.
So I would say, I would lean more heavily toward the first mechanism rather than the second, because you're trying to determine who's going to beat whom in a given event, and that's what this is.
Right.
Group 3 is 12. So you could argue this is the hardest group. Nobody has a lower average than this. So this has Alexei Novikov, Rob Kearney, Mika Toro, Trey Mitchell, Gregor Zemansky, and Adam Bishop. Now,
all of those guys are fairly not dominant, but well experienced and everything else. So
so you could argue maybe I give SCL competitors too much credit in my algorithm. Maybe I do. I do demote them, like for sure. I've shown how I do it. People have seen it on my videos, but maybe not enough. Who knows? But as far as you look at it here in both mechanisms, this is the hardest group. You go to group 4, and now this one is one of the easier groups. So funny enough, Martin Zlizia's group seems to have one of the higher averages here and here. This one I think is the highest, in fact.
Wow. Okay.
And then group 5 is really funny because in this way, it's the easiest group. In this way, it's the second hardest group.
So who's throwing off I guess maybe Evan is throwing off those numbers? With the overall, or Evan and Luke, and Kelvin, I guess.
Well, you'd want somebody who has a substantially lower number here than here. So it's Luke and Kelvin.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, Kelvin ranked middle of the pack as far as points earned out of points possible, but he placed high in a lot of shows, which gave him bonus points for placings. So, So if you're going to look at it from a perspective of I'm trying to judge who's going to win individual events, and that is points earned out of points possible, then this is your column, and group 5 is the easiest group.
Interesting. Although group 4 is not that far ahead or behind, or however you want to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say this and this is substantial.
Right.
I'll say, without going into too many details, unless do we have anybody in the comments asking about it? No. Without going into too many details about the negativity that happened today, this would support that, right? Luke is in the easiest group if you measure it this way. Let's see about Tom. So Tom is in group 1, and there are multiple easier groups than his. So the theory works one way and not the other way. Now, there's a third way to measure this stuff. I did an average of
you and your numbers.
But I have to give you choices, because you see, then people are going to say that I'm biased. I want to show that I considered all possibilities here.
Fair enough.
Research means their rating, like their points earned out of points possible in this particular event over the last about 3 years, like 2019, 2021, and if they competed in 22 is what I counted here. So if you take the average ratings of all the guys in this group for loading race, you get this. The average for deadlift, you get this. The average for car walk, you get this, and so forth, right? You can look at it for each of the events. If you average those all together, overall it's this, or total is this. You can pick if you like to do averages or sums, you get pretty much the same result. So this is how formidable, on average, the guys in group 1 are. This is how formidable, on average, the guys in group 2 are. They're stronger overall.
Right. Okay.
By 4 points. Right? Remember 55.47.
Right.
This is how strong the guys in group 3 are. They're stronger than both group 1 and slightly more than group 2. This one's lower than group 1, and this one's lower than group 1. This one's the lowest. So again,
right.
Luke's group is the easiest if you measure it this way. Tom's is middle.
Although Martine's group is right there with Luke's.
Second lowest, which I mentioned off the air. But any way you slice it, Brian's group is hard.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. 2 and 3 both look like very stacked groups. Both of those groups look stacked.
Yeah, I would suggest that this number and this number are similar to each other, group 2 and 3.
Right.
So that's kind of how you measure it. Then I feel it's interesting to look event by event. So everyone is saying group 2 is the group of death because of the deadlift. Well, yeah, it is. Look at the deadlift prowess in group 1 and look at it in group 2.
Jeez. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Even if you take the one great deadlifter who isn't in this group and go look at his group, which is Adam Bishop, it's still on aggregate very much lower than group 2.
Yeah, but outside of the deadlift, though, group 2 is more on par with 1 and 3 for the most part.
Let's compare 1 and 2. So loading, group 1 is much better. Deadlift, group 2 is much better.
Yeah.
Car walk, group 2 is better. Grip, group 2 is better. Log for reps, group 2 is better. And then stone off, group 1 is better. So group 2 has more events better. Yeah. So
yeah, Tom's dragging that curve significantly up. So
yeah, I mean, you could argue Brian's dragging it up a lot here too, but
yeah, but not. I mean, 96 compared to 86 is a big jump, but
yeah, and so I will say there was one contest. I'm trying to remember which one where Tom didn't win the stones, but it wasn't world level. It was like a Britain's or something. So I threw it out. I just this is a world's strongest man, so I took world numbers.
Right. Okay. I think that's a fair enough reason.
Yeah. So I don't know. What do you think? Which is the best way to calculate it, and which group is in fact the easiest?
Well, how about we just take all 3 of those methods and average all 3 of them and go that way? Have you done that yet?
I have not. So let's see. So this method, and this method is what you're saying. So that average is 28.6.
Okay.
30.
It's not a huge
no, wait, we can't average them because this is higher is better and this is lower is better.
Oh, you're right. Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, scratch that.
Yep.
I don't know. I think I'm probably more inclined to go with the total points being more accurate.
Yeah. Me too.
But I mean, each method, someone's going to complain about, and somebody's going to find a reason why it's not as accurate as it could be. Which I mean, and that's partly why we do a lot of this stuff too, though, is like we love talking about all the what ifs, and then on the day of the competition, maybe completely different guys win each group and get, other guys win the stone off and everything. I think this is a great way for guesstimating, and it's a fun thing to do to think about who might win or not. But everyone's gonna find some reason why it doesn't work for whatever.
Yeah. So I did the finals predictions as well earlier. I don't know if you'd like to see those.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I told you a little bit offline the head-to-head, which is it took some work to do, but in my algorithm, you can, as I've shown before, you can plug them in. So if you go here, you probably can't see this screen. Yeah, all right. So in my algorithm, you can plug in head-to-heads and it tells you. So for example, if I take Martine's lead seats and I work my way across, that. Okay, so we'll just put my cursor here. So Martins Licis, and I work my way across to Konstantin. He has 1 win over Konstantin Janasha. He has 5 wins over Alexei. And again, when I say win, I don't mean they necessarily won the show, but they outplaced the other guy.
Right.
He has 6 wins over Tom Stoltman. And so to compare, it's a matrix, right? So they kind of they intersect. So you have for Martins has 6
he and
wins.
Evan haven't competed together. I thought he and Evan haven't competed together yet.
That I could find, not that I could find on Strawman Archives.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll take your word for it. I for some reason I was thinking there was a show that they had.
Yeah, I may have missed it, but yeah, as far as I could find, no. But so if you follow Martins over to Tom, you have 6, and if you follow Tom over to Martins, which is the first column, you have 0. So that means Martins is 6-0 against Tom. Unbelievably, Martins is 8-0 against Luke. So 8-0 here. Yeah, and so this whole thing here is telling you none of these guys have a win against Martins.
Huh.
And
I guess if he hasn't competed against Evan or Mitch, though, maybe one of those guys will beat him. But
we'll see. We shall see. And then the decimal point ones are placings. So like let's take one that's not the 1 because that's a little difficult. But here, so he has 6 wins over Tom Stoltman, and in those 6 wins, Martins averages 2.71 place. So like close to third, between second and third place. In those 6 meetings, Tom Stoltman averages 9th place.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's an average, although so that is including his early career where he didn't do very well at all early on.
So why don't we do this? Why don't I share the screen with the algorithm so we can see that as well? Let's see. Okay. So can you see this screen now?
Yes.
Awesome. Now let me go off to my head-to-head. All right. So if we type in Martins Licis, and then we type in Stoltman, we should be able to see where they are. Okay. So here. All right, 2018 World Tour Finals. Anywhere where it says match is the one to the left of match. So in this one, Martins was 2nd, Tom was 7th. In 2018 Wus Dubai, Martins was 7th, Tom was 8th. Giants Live Wembley 2019, Martins was 3rd, Tom was 9th. World's Strongest Man, the one that Martins won, of course, he was 1st, Tom was 5th. Last year's Rogue Invitational, Martins 1, Tom 2. 2022, this year's Arnold, Martins 1, Tom 7. And 2017 Worlds, Martins 4, Tom 27 out of 30 guys.
Wow.
And so obviously this tells you who the higher placing is. Martins in every case.
Yeah. And I mean, and I know a lot of people have been saying Martins all the way. Like he's nigh unbeatable this year, but we'll see. Well, we're about to see actually.
Yeah, so. I'm many people.
Yeah, exactly. He man, I think I need to go get hit by a truck because he sure came back pretty strong from that.
I heard he did a 120-mile electric bike ride recently, and I'm like, wow, he's brave to get back on a bike.
Wow. That guy is unstoppable, it seems like.
Yeah. But see here, he has 5 wins over Novikov as well. He's 5-0 against him, but Novikov places better than Tom does in their meetings.
Yeah, Novikov has a bunch of 2nd and 3rd, and well, he does have an 11th.
Yeah. So yeah,
wow.
It's very interesting. And then if we go back over to the first spreadsheet again, I can show you quickly some of the predictions. Oh, we have a comment also. Let's see. All right, so let's go over. I think Ultimate is the biggest loser in all of this. Will elite athletes skip their events? I don't quite get it. Do you get
I'm
it?
not completely sure what he's saying. I'm not sure what they mean.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of Ultimate is Wuss, World's Ultimate Strongman, but I don't know how they correlate.
I don't know how they would be the biggest loser with this, though.
Yeah, interesting.
As in,
So,
will elite athletes skip wuss?
well, he said skip events, so I'm thinking individual events rather than whole shows. I don't know.
I don't know.
No, maybe he does mean whole shows. Okay.
Could be. I'm not sure. First, last, if you're still watching this, maybe fill us in some more on what you're thinking.
Yeah, feel free to clarify. We'll talk about it. But yeah, so here's the finals predictions I had, Isaac. I don't know if I showed them to you. So
Okay.
Kevin Ferris 10, Max 9, Trey Mitchell 8, Luke Stoltman 7. I got to tell you, I've spoken to a lot of people who have Mitch going through to the finals. I thought I was a unicorn here, but apparently not.
He looks solid, and he's coming in. Well, I mean, like you said, he has too much confidence. He needs to slow down on the confidence side a little bit.
And then I have Tom 5th, Evan Singleton 4, Novikov 3, Janasha 2, and Martins 1.
So this would be Evan's first final, right? Because he's never made the finals before.
I know he was sick last year, and then didn't something happen the year before as well, right?
With him? Something. I think he had to pull out the year before or something like that. He got hurt somehow.
Yeah, let me jump on Strongman Archives real quick and take a look. But yeah, he pulled out for some reason.
A bicep injury or something.
Oh, wasn't that the year that everybody had a bicep injury?
I think so. For some reason, that's what's sticking in my head. But
yeah, that would have been 2020, right?
Yep.
Singleton. Let's see. I know I'm not sharing my screen. I'm just going to look it up really quickly.
That's fine.
He withdrew before the Atlas Stones in the groups.
After which event? Does it say which event?
Overhead medley. He actually did well in the overhead medley and then withdrew. So yeah, he must have been hurt.
I can't think of him for some reason why he withdrew. I remember him withdrawing, and I don't remember the reasoning why.
Yeah, I think there were multiple. There were like 4 different bicep injuries that year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were several of them.
But yeah, I mean, as I conceded during my earlier live stream, I think it's highly improbable that Martin's actually going to win by this many points, but I still think he's going to win.
It's happened before, so it's possible. Or, well, I don't know if it's happened by that large of 14 points. So that's a pretty big margin. I don't know if anyone's won by that much before.
The other thing, didn't Janasha have an injury recently? Do we know if he's fully recovered?
I think he's back to 100%. Last I heard, same with him. I don't remember what it was. I want to say it was his back, something with his back. But
yeah,
last I've heard, it sounds like he's back to 100%. So again, like I said, we're about to find out. We're about to see.
Any thoughts about the controversy swirling around the weights being light this year?
I mean, I feel like most of them are pretty solid weights. And even if you look 15 years ago or something like that, I mean, these would be really heavy weights for that time. I think they're pretty solid weights for the most part. Maybe some of the maybe the deadlift you could go a smidge heavier on, but then at the same point, same time, you don't want to burn everybody out on one event, so then they all get injured on the next either. So it's all about finding that balance. And I mean, like I said, if you look 15, 20 years ago, they're heavier now than they were then. So I don't know. I think they're pretty solid weights. I am interested to see with the Flintstone lift how that goes, because we haven't seen much along those lines in 20, 25 years, something like that.
Me too. Yabba dabba do.
Yeah, I know. It's been a minute since we've done something like this, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, the one of the complaints I think was that the loading race is too light. They're 120 kilogram implements, but I don't know if you caught Gabe Pena's live on Instagram this morning. He talked about it and
No.
he said, first of all, it's super hot, and second of all, there's 5 of them, so
Yeah,
it's not easy, despite what people think.
yeah, and I mean, yeah, I don't think it's too light. I think it'll work out, and even I mean, so some people have said this one seems more like a cardio show. And I think people are saying that because of the loading and because of the Atlas stones, you run in for the Atlas stones. Um, but isn't that what strongman's all about? Every show we do, it's supposed to be different, and we've done the stones the same way for a while. So hey, let's go back to the old style. So I kind of like them mixing it up, and I like seeing something different rather than the
Yeah,
same.
there's some running on deadlift ladder you could argue too, but
True, yeah, that's true as well. So
yeah, I have Janasha rated pretty highly there because he just recently did really well on it. So at a very recent show.
on deadlift ladder.
Yeah. Yeah, didn't he win deadlift ladder at which show? Was one of the Giants live shows, I think.
I don't remember. I think so. I know. Well, and Janash is always a monster in deadlift. So yeah, we'll see with that. I am super excited to see how Mitch Hooper does with the deadlift because we've seen all these Instagram posts and everything else, and it'll be really cool to actually see him on the world stage and see how he does with that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he'll do well. I think he'll do well.
I think he will as well. As long as he can keep a cool head, pace himself, be used to the stop and go and all that sort of stuff that's at Worlds, unlike most other competitions, I think he'll do fine. I think he's gonna hang in there.
And by the way, I just looked it up. Janasha won deadlift ladder at this year's Europes.
Dang. Well, his back is probably good then.
Yes, sir. So yeah, we'll see how it all works out. But what's our final determination here before I fly off into the evening?
As in how we should count the points, or which group is the group of death and all that?
Which group is the easiest and which group is the group of death?
I think I do agree with you. I think Luke's group is probably the easiest, but Martine's isn't that much easier. Mm-hmm. I think group 3 really looks like the most difficult, and group 2 is only a little bit easier than that. Group 1 kind of looks like it's in the middle. Like no matter which metric you use, group 1 looks maybe a little on the easy side, but it's fairly well set up, I think. Other than
all right.
But
all right, so put a stamp on it. The most difficult group at 2022 World's Strongest Man is Group 3, Alexei Novikov's group. The easiest group is Group 5, Luke Stoltman and Evan Singleton's group. And the discussion about Tom Stoltman having the easiest group has no merit. It's in the middle. However, he got a little bit of a gift compared to Brian Shaw for sure. Is that all fair?
I think that's fair. I think you could argue group 4 is the easiest as well. I think, especially if you take Martins out of it. 4 and 5, I think, are both pretty easy. But yeah, I'll go with that. Group 5 is the easiest. Group 3 is the hardest.
Yeah, I think what throws people off with Group 4 is, number one, Martins is in it and he's good at everything. And number 2, you have a podium finisher in Maxime from last year's World's Strongest Man, but his two worst events are in the groups, which is deadlift and a yoke type event. Mm-hmm. Those are his 2 worst events.
And Pavlo, as you put it right here, like Pavlo is a pretty solid guy, and he has experience on the world stage. He's not known at Worlds necessarily, but he's a solid athlete, and he's a solid strong man. And I think he'll do a really good job. But
and you're a solid athlete and a solid strong man too, Isaac. And with that, I bid you good night.
All right, have a good one, John.
All righty, and of course, everyone, as always, until next time. Ciao, homie.
Have a good one.